Today I am sharing with you what I'm doing with all the meat that I got yesterday grocery shopping. I got spare ribs, I got chicken, I got bacon, and I got ground beef. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing to prepare it for later in the week so that none of it goes bad, because meat is expensive and I don't want to waste my hard-earned money on meat going bad. I wrote out a list to make it easier to remember everything that I need to do. We are not starting with the ribs and chicken because that's going to be for dinner tonight and it's only early afternoon. So we'll get going with the ground meat, and then we will go ahead and do bacon, and I will do some chicken for another meal. We're going to go ahead and get started with the bacon. It's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to do it on the baking sheet. I really like thick cut bacon. It cooks so much better than thin cut bacon, and it tastes a heck of a lot better too. I'm just trying to get as much bacon on the sheet pan as I can, and I really love that I can fit 12 pieces. With my old sheet pans, which were the standard size, I could only fit about 8 to 9 pieces. I do not preheat the oven. I just put it in a cold oven and then I turn it on to 400, well, I'm going to do 395, and then I just set the timer for 18 minutes for thick bacon. Now we'll get started with our ground beef. I'm going to need 4 pounds of ground beef for my meals this week. So I'll go ahead and just cook all of it, and the remaining bit of meat will go into the freezer. I like to put it seasoned side down first. I hope I can fit everything on. Let's start with this. Okay, I'm not going to stand over here and do this the whole time. I'll just keep checking on it. I like to get the bacon off the baking sheet as quickly as possible and onto a plate that is not lined with a paper towel. If it has a paper towel on it, the paper towel soaks up all that delicious bacon grease, which is a prized possession in this home. I make sure to drain the grease into our bacon grease jar as soon as I get all the bacon off the sheet pan, because I've noticed we get quite a bit more if I don't wait too long to do this part. Also, since we're not eating the bacon right away, it is nice to cook the bacon a little less than you normally like to eat it. That way you can reheat it on a skillet right before you need it for your meal, and it will crisp up nicely. And this just needs a little bit more time. Okay, I'm cooking up the chicken legs next. Pro tip: I like to use tongs to place them on the baking sheet so I don't have to wash my hands. My plan is to remove the meat and dice it up for chicken Caesar salad jars. I'll probably have plenty more that I can just put into the freezer. A lot of times I will cook a whole chicken if I just want diced meat, but I went for the cheapest option this time. Chicken legs are 98 cents a pound at Sam's Club, and a whole chicken is about $1.48 a pound. Now we'll flip it over so we could season the back of each one. I used to put
the chicken in a bowl, a big bowl, salt and pepper and oil in the bowl. Mix everything up with my hands and then put it on the baking sheet, but this is just easier for me because then I don't have to wash a big bowl. And I also don't use oil anymore like I used to, because I realized that chicken, especially if you have the skin on, naturally has lots of grease, so why am I putting oil on it? Of course you could put other seasonings besides salt and pepper. I just stick to salt and pepper most of the time because my husband loves it, and even my kids pretty much love it. There's one of my kids that sometimes complains, "Oh, chicken again, why can't you put some seasoning on it?" But usually if we do have like leftover chicken, we'll dip it in like mustard and mayo or something like that. One of my kids likes to use ketchup if we have it, or barbecue sauce, but I don't usually have barbecue sauce anymore. Before I put them in the oven, I like to make sure the skin is up rather than down, because I want the skin to be crispy so we can eat the skin. Chicken will go in for about 48 minutes at 400 degrees. This is done. I'm gonna put it in I think I'm gonna put it in a big bowl.
This ground beef was probably cooked a tad longer than I would like, especially because it's going to be reheated again. The best thing to do is to cook it until it's just barely cooked and promptly remove it from the stove so it doesn't cook longer than necessary.
Put all the bacon in this bag, and when I need it next week, I will get it out, possibly reheat it, and it will be ready to go. I won't have to bake it. It smells so good. Oh, this little piece I have to try. Mmm, so good. Now I want to eat the whole batch. Like right now. Thick cut bacon is where it's at. I got this bag ready to go for next week. But I have to eat this piece. Don't tell my family. They'll be so jealous. But hey, they're probably eating something without me. Might as well, right? Why is bacon so good? The fat is incredible. Okay. Now I'm just gonna drain. I'm gonna put all this yummy fat into this jar. Okay, I have this drawer at the bottom of my fridge, and I think I'm gonna put it back because if it's out, if anybody sees it, they're gonna want it and they're going to eat it. So I have to hide it. Don't worry. I'll let them have this bacon probably tomorrow for breakfast.
Since I've already shown you the process for how I cook the ground beef, I'll skip through most of this next part.
Timer went off for the chicken. I'm gonna need 2 hands to get this out. And that skin looks so good. I'll let this cool off a bit. I'll probably eat some of the skin. And then I'll package it up and put it in the fridge. And then tomorrow I'll probably take it apart for the meal that I'm making with it, which is chicken Caesar salad jars. You can find the link to make that recipe in the description below. I forgot I'm gonna do these ribs, so I need to put the oven back on to 250. The pork ribs, my husband usually takes care of the meat. Since he's gone, I'm gonna do it.
So let me show you on this first rib on how to remove the membrane. You're gonna need that butter knife and a paper towel. First rib on how to remove the...
I think I can do that.
So I bought these pork ribs from Sam's Club, and there was a lot there. We really could have gotten away with just the 1 rack of ribs, but since there were 2, I decided to cook both. We ended up freezing some of them after cooking, and I found that they reheat quite well. You could just throw them onto a baking sheet straight from the freezer and bake at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes if they're already cut into individual bones. If you freeze it in a big chunk though, it will take longer to reheat.
I'm pretty sure that we have cooked these ribs many times with this membrane still on it, so I don't think it's absolutely necessary. Yeah, the paper towel is necessary because otherwise it slips through your fingers. Can't get it off. We are so basic around here. We use salt and pepper just on all of our meat. Sometimes we'll do something different, like a dry rub, maybe a sauce. But we're pretty basic. So the sauce that we normally serve with meat is called chimichurri. It's from Argentina. My husband is from Argentina, in case you didn't know. And chimichurri is made with parsley, garlic, oil, like olive oil, and vinegar, salt and pepper. It's very basic, but it's so good. Everybody loves it. Three hours.
Normally, I take the time to dice the chicken while it's still warm, but since I was doing a lot on this day, I decided to do it the next day. But I do wish I had at least removed all the chicken skin and taken the chicken completely off the bone before putting it into the fridge. Working with cold chicken isn't nearly as easy as working with warm chicken.
Okay, chicken is ready to go in the fridge. Hard time getting it in. Still got 2 more packages.
We don't waste any of our chicken parts or bones. I'll save the bones in a freezer bag and make bone broth with them later. and the skin and other tidbits that we don't need will go to our dogs. If we didn't have any dogs, we would probably feed them to our chickens. The rest of the drumsticks I just put into a freezer bag and stuck them in the freezer. I will often use pre-cooked frozen chicken still on the bone in spaghetti sauce to add more flavor and bulk it up. So some of the diced chicken is going into the fridge for a meal later in the week, and the other diced chicken I put in a freezer bag and tossed it in the freezer for a meal in the future. Now I just need to combine the cooked ground beef into one large bowl and let it cool down. I have 3 containers ready to go, so I can put the beef in them for the meals later in the week. Whatever's left will be packaged in a freezer bag and put in the freezer. The pork ribs took about 4 hours, but I left the thicker one in for longer. I started them in a 250-degree Fahrenheit oven and then increased the temperature to 320 degrees about an hour before I took them out. As you can see, we are done with the meal prep part, and now I'll be showcasing the actual meals that I made with this delicious meat. I had planned to make ribs and chicken with cauliflower and broccoli and baked potatoes for dinner on the same evening that I did the meal prep. But then I remembered that I had the baked beans in the freezer, so I changed it to that to make my life easier. I just heated up the baked beans and some frozen corn, and it was a lovely meal. This next meal was Bacon Ranch burger bowls. They're completely grain-free. You could even make them dairy-free by making a dairy-free ranch dressing to go with it. I used the fat from the ground beef to cook the onions. I cut the bacon into smaller pieces and reheated them in my small cast iron skillet for just a minute or two so they could crisp up. The burger bowls are just amazing, and they don't take a lot of time if you get some of the parts of the meal made ahead of time. On your plate, you just layer the lettuce, ground beef, onions, bacon, tomatoes, avocado, and ranch, and then dig in. The next meal I made that week with the ground beef is a similar concept to the burger bowls. I got the recipe for this warm salad from the Real Food Dietitians, and I'll link to their recipe below. It's very easy to substitute whatever you have on hand to make this meal. This time we used spinach, ground beef, roasted sweet potatoes and cauliflower, mayo, and avocado. I wanted to show you what my youngest child's plate looked like. I had some rice in the fridge, and he loves rice, so I heated it up for anyone who wanted it. I required him to have 1 piece of lettuce and some vegetables, and he wanted the avocado and ground beef. Now, if he didn't eat some or all of it, that's really up to him. My responsibility as the parent is just to provide the food. His responsibility is to decide whether or not he will eat it. The last meal I made with the meat I prepped for the week were these chicken Caesar salad jars. I actually put them together a day or two before, so all I had to do was dump it into a bowl and mix it up. Super easy. I did serve the salad with some simple nachos, which I topped with some more leftover ground beef from the week. Oh, you might be wondering what I did with the other 2 packages of chicken drumsticks. Well, one of them we just grilled and ate with the pork ribs, and the other we cooked for our dogs. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching till the end. I'd love to hear what you're meal prepping this week. Do you cook full meals or just prep ingredients like me? Let me know down in the comments. Okay, we'll see you next time. Take care.